I'm Kalani. When I speak English, the feeling that I speak the language correctly, accurately, makes me so confident. It actually boosts my confidence. And when you speak, it's totally fine you make mistakes, errors, but you cannot be repeating the same mistakes all the time, can you? So it's worth learning how to speak the language correctly, and for this, you need to have some knowledge of grammar. Well, thought of taking a grammar lesson today, but don't worry, this is not going to be another boring grammar lesson where you have to by heart all the grammar rules. In fact, I do not want you to just memorize the grammar rules. I just want you to speak the language correctly with confidence. Focusing on grammar, how can I not talk about tenses? Well, tenses. There are 12 tenses in active voice. I eat rice, I'm eating rice, I've eaten rice, and I've been eating rice. Well, I know tenses. If this is how you've learned it, you have to change your style. Because you should aim not to by heart some grammar rules. You should learn how to apply the grammar practically. Well, the good news is, starting from today for a few days ahead, my videos are committed to tenses. So this is an excellent opportunity for you to clarify all your confusions regarding using tenses practically and correctly. To start with, we are going to discuss today different uses of simple present tense, the tense that anybody knows. Well, you know that tenses indicate the time. When it comes to simple present tense, it indicates the present time. So let's now see different uses of simple present tense. The most common use of simple present tense is to talk about your daily routine. For an example, I wake up at 7 a.m. every day. But remember, there are many other uses of simple present tense. Let's take one by one. First, to talk about repeated actions, actions that you repeat. What do you call it when you repeat something? It becomes your habit, doesn't it? So to talk about habits, repeated actions, you can use simple present tense. For examples, I visit my parents twice a month. Twice a month, I repeat that action. So you can say, I visit my parents twice a month. Another example, our company takes us on a trip annually. Annually means every year. So you can say, our company takes us on a trip annually. Every year it happens. Third example, I read the newspaper every morning. As a habit, I read the newspaper every morning. Talking about your habits, repeated actions, you can also use adverbs of frequency, as you can see here. Adverbs of frequency, that means these adverbs indicate the number of times that something repeats. For examples, always, usually, often, sometimes, and the other frequency adverbs you can use in these sentences. For an example, let's take, I often see her in the bus station. I often see her in the bus station. So, did you notice where I use this adverb of frequency in the sentence? It's just before the verb. So you can say, I often see her in the bus station. Second example, to talk about general truths, or you call them universal truths. Well, these things are beyond your control. They are permanent and do not change. For an example, water boils at 100 degrees Celsius. Can it ever change? Another example, the sun rises in the east. So this is also beyond your control, it's permanent. Third example, similarly you can have, the sun sets in the west. So these are called universal truths that are beyond our control, that are permanent situations. Number 3, to talk about general observations, also you can use the simple present tense. You realize something by observation. For an example, people who get a sound sleep at night work actively in the daytime. So this is also a general observation. Let's take another example. COVID-19 patients suffer from severe throat pain. So this is also a general observation. So to talk about general observations, you can use the simple present tense. Number 4. To talk about some permanent situations, they can even be facts about you, you can use the simple present tense. Let's take an example. Well, I can say I live in Colombo because this is my hometown and it's not something temporary. So I say I live in Colombo. Second example, she speaks 6 languages. Well, look at this example. It's not that she speaks 6 languages today and tomorrow she speaks 4 languages. It's something permanent. So you can say she speaks 6 languages using the simple present tense. Let's take another example. He works as an accountant. Well, this is his occupation, this is his profession. So we can say he works as an accountant. You use the simple present tense in such situations. Number 5. To talk about scheduled events or timetable programs, also you can use the simple present tense. Let's take an example. The train arrives at 7:25 a.m. Well, think that you are at the station and the time is 7 o'clock. That means you have more time. It actually happens in the future. But you say the train arrives at 7:25 a.m. because it's according to the train timetable. Well, the second example, the guest arrives at 10 a.m. It's also a similar situation. The guest arrives at 10 a.m. In such situations, rather than saying the guest will arrive or the guest is arriving, you use the simple present tense, the guest arrives at 10 a.m. because it's a timetabled program. Third example, you can say the lecture begins at 7:30 p.m. The lecture begins at 7:30 p.m. Timetabled program. Number 6. With non-action verbs, you use the simple present tense. What are these non-action verbs? Take the verb write. When I say write, there is an action. I'm doing something. But when I say I see him, there is no action. I'm not doing anything. Well, it is called a non-action verb because I just perceive it with my eyes. So they can be your feelings, thoughts, appearance, perception. Let's take some examples. Example number 1. Well, having a cup of tea, you can say, wow, it tastes good. It tastes good. Taste is a non-action verb. So you cannot say it is tasting good even at this time, right? So the second example, I understand your problem. Or you can say I understand you. Well, understand is similarly a non-action verb. There is no action. Third example, I cannot cheat him. He trusts me. He trusts me. Well, he is not doing anything. It is a non-action verb. So you use the simple present tense, he trusts me. Next, to narrate something or to tell some story or an incident, you can use the simple present tense. Especially when you want to connect that story to the present, or if you would like to make it more interesting, you can use the simple present tense. For an example, let's say you would like to share something that you have experienced with your friend, and let's see how you do it. Hey, you know what happened this morning? You know John, right? Well, it's so funny. Just imagine, John walks down the staircase in such a hurry and at the same speed he tries to open the door by pushing it when he has to pull it, and he knocks the door so hard. Well, you tell such stories to your friends, right? And if you want to make the story more interesting and if you want to connect the story to the present, you can use a simple present tense. So we've just discussed the different uses of simple present tense, and we also hope to talk more about the practical usage of all tenses in our future videos. So let's meet again in another useful video. Until then, you take care.